to the Jonathan Ross Show. Shall we start by having a look and seeing who's in my green room tonight, ladies and gentlemen? My first guest is a comedian, an actor, an author, but above all, he's a man, and also occasionally a woman. And when I say woman, I mean a lady. It's the always hilarious David Williams. My next guest is an award-winning chef and campaigner, and thanks to his books, there's a very good chance he'll be helping you to cook your Christmas lunch. It's Mr. Jamie Oliver. There he is. Hey, Jamie, good to see you again. We have fantastic music for you tonight from a singer who's only the second British female solo artist to have 5 #1s in the UK. That's incredible. She's incredible. It's Jess Glynn. Hey, Jess. You're fabulous. And as well as all that, we have one of the major movie stars of all time. He was superb in Witness, he was fantastic in The Fugitive, unforgettable in Blade Runner, but we all know him best as Indiana Jones, and of course, in Star Wars, where he's back at the helm of the Millennium Falcon as Han Solo. It's Mr. Harrison Ford, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Harrison, how's it going? Good to see you. Let's get my first guest out, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? He's a talented man, blessed with many gifts. I'd go so far as to call him a Renaissance man, but only because he likes to wear a codpiece. It is, of course, the fabulous Mr. David Williams.
That's how they walk in Star Wars,
That's
isn't it?
That's a fine mince you have going on there.
So
Star Wars, obviously the big guest tonight. You're a big guest, but the big guest is Harrison Ford. You a Star Wars... I don't think that's rude to point that out.
No, I can accept that.
Yeah,
I've actually brought my pictures for him to sign.
Well, I don't know whether that's... I don't know if that's cool, really. So are you genuinely a Star Wars fan? These were yours.
I was 6 when the film came out. And I had pictures and posters of him on my wall.
Wow.
And then, you know, I watched all the rest of his films, which were fantastic. And also, you kind of grew up with him, didn't you? So, you know, you ended up watching Witness, you're a little bit older, and he introduced you to lots of other brilliant films.
Did you, when you were a young man and you went to see the movie, did you actually come out and want to be one of the characters? Did you play as one of the characters?
I did want to be Leah, because I went to an all-boys school.
Yeah.
And not many of the boys wanted to be the girl characters.
Yes.
Apart from me!
OK, but
you're looking good.
Oh, thank you.
You're looking really good.
Good, thank you.
Because you've lost a lot of weight, haven't you?
I have lost a lot of weight.
You've lost, I think... You've lost about half your body weight, haven't you? Because you'd really ballooned.
Yeah,
you look great.
Good. Well, thank you, David. That's very nice.
No, because you did really
You thought I was looking bad. I was looking like...
You were big.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a widescreen TV, but it wasn't really enough.
OK. Speaking of large people, how's Simon Cowell these days?
Well, I got to spend some time with him over the summer.
And are you friends now? Because obviously, on screen there's a kind of a weird friendship, but it's a screen friendship, and you tease him and you play with him. But are you close off screen as well? Would you consider yourself?
Very close. We holidayed together.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And there we are on our holiday together. He doesn't own a shirt.
No.
Unfortunately. And we were on his yacht there. So I went to spend some time on his yacht.
So he has a yacht. That must be...
Well, he hires it.
Oh, I see.
It's big, but it's rented.
Yeah.
And I got to come on his yacht.
Yeah.
That's not a euphemism. I got to visit him on his yacht, and he came to visit my friend on his he goes to a jet ski, and then we went out for dinner in Italy, which was very nice. But lots of people were recognising me and asking for photos. And
you were getting recognised more than him?
I was getting recognised, yeah. And to annoy him, I'd say, "Can you take the picture?" And then I'd say, "Simon, this happens a lot when you're famous. People ask for photos."
And was he comfortable with that, though? I bet he was fairly
he was quite annoyed, I think, because he likes to be king of the castle.
Yeah, he does. So,
yes.
but you know what's lovely about seeing David again is I can celebrate your success because I've always enjoyed seeing you on TV. You know that. I think you're a very funny man. We'll get to your new TV working with. But your writing career as a children's author now, that's been just astronomical. What an incredible success. I mean, really remarkable.
Well, it's wonderful, yes. I'm now on my 8th novel, Grandpa's Great Escape, and I think I've sold about 10 million books, I think.
10 million books. You must be one of the biggest-selling children's authors in the country, aren't you?
J.K. Rowling has sold 450 million.
Wow. So you're not actually doing very well at all there, really.
Compared to her, not good.
But if we take her out of the equation...
Yes, then, it's been great. I mean, it's totally taken me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it to be like this.
Well, here's the new one, David Williams' Grandpa's Great Escape, and I know a lot of kids will be getting this for Christmas. A lot of kids have probably got it already, and they tend to read them pretty quickly, don't they?
They read them in a day, and then they tweet me on the day the books come out and said, when's the next one out? Yeah, it takes a bit longer to write than read, kids. But it's lovely to think all these kids are anticipating your next book. Yeah. And then I go to schools and do talks and readings and that sort of thing.
And so that must be lovely to actually meet the people who enjoy your work like that. And how do the kids react? Do they know you from your TV work as well, or are you just...
I think they do, Jonathan, yeah. It's prime time. Britain's Got Talent. Yeah,
but it's
not late night. Yeah. It's on in the middle of the evening when people are watching.
But what I mean is, you know, because your name isn't in the title, it's not your show, and you're very replaceable. And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, you know. I mean, some weeks you might as well not be there. It's the same show.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I'll rename it David Williams' Britain's Got Talent. I'm not that egotistical. So I read to the kids, and you see a sea of faces, and there's just always one kid who's just like that. That whole thing. And your eye is drawn to that kid, and you think, what have I done wrong?
Yeah.
And then I get asked questions, including the other day I was in Birmingham at school, and the kid said, yeah, I've got a question. Do you like Kentucky Fried Chicken? Well, that is, of course, the real reason I'm here today, to talk about my love of bargain buckets. I mean, the wonderful thing about kids is they just come up with anything, the first thing on their mind.
So, Christmas Eve, David Williams is back, doing what I think he does best, ladies and gentlemen, really. He's doing a new sketch comedy show on television. It's called Williams and Friends. And it's great to have you back there doing it. It really is great. It's really good. I've seen it. They sent me an early kind of link to it. I watched it, and it's very, very, very funny.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, really good.
Well, I was watching the Monty Python live show. Did you go and see it?
I did.
It was fantastic. And I just thought, oh, it's pure comedy. It's not trying to do anything else than make you laugh.
Just funny, funny, funny. Weird stuff,
That's what I really wanted to do. And I grew up watching the Two Ronnies. And it was something we all watched as a family, and I thought, if you could try and emulate that in some way, because no one's doing that kind of thing at the moment.
And so you have, David Williams and Friends, you have a partner in every show. I'm guessing a different partner in every show. OK, so the first show...
And the first one is Joanna Lumley.
Well, that's fantastic, isn't it?
So
she's in the whole show with you.
She's in the whole show, and she does some sketches on her own. We do lots of sketches together.
Yeah.
That's one called Tanya's Tans.
OK.
Where we run a tanning salon.
You do seem to enjoy dressing up as a woman.
You've got to have a hobby. You really have.
Well, I'm not casting any shade here. It's a lovely thing, I bet.
Do I make an attractive woman, and be honest?
No. What? You're barely an attractive man. If you weren't famous, you'd be a 2.
Oh, dear.
So, tell me about some of the other sketches then. What's the selfie stick? You were talking about a selfie stick scene, which I don't know if that was inspired by something in real life or...
Well, have you ever had anyone come up to you and just go, selfie? Cheeky selfie? Yeah. Could you put that in a sentence for me? Because it's become, like, a sentence in itself, isn't it? Selfie. And actually, they're normally already taking it, as they say it. Selfie.
Selfie,
And so we tested out the sketches in a room above a pub. And as I was walking out, someone went, selfie. I thought, oh, no, I really hope this doesn't catch
You've got a new catchphrase right there. Yeah. I bet everyone's going to want to do it now.
And there's a Bake Off spoof.
Ah, now this is... Now we're getting to this. This is... Now, in a way, you've got to be quite, I would have thought, careful if you're doing anything where you are impersonating the Bake Off stars, because Paul Hollywood, to a lesser extent, but Mary Berry certainly, is the very definition of the national treasure, right there. I mean, she is adored and loved by so many. So I guess you have to be careful how you approach
Be mindful of that.
Yes.
But she's a lovely lady, and I'm sure she has a great sense of humour. I'm praying she does.
Have you not met her? You've not met her?
I've met her a few times.
She's got a sense of humour.
She's lovely. She's lovely.
OK, so we're going to show you this clip now. This is... and I think, I didn't think I said this, but you make a very good Paul Hollywood.
Thank you very much.
So this is Christmas Eve, BBC One at 5 minutes past 10, and this is David and Joanna Lumley.
And that's how you make the perfect choux pastry.
And cut. That's a wrap.
Is it me or is it hot in here?
You make it hot, Paul.
Stop it, Mary.
I can't fight what I feel any longer.
Now I'm getting really hot. Why did you have to wear that pink blouse today?
Because you said it made me look like a naughty fondant fancy. You master baker.
I master bake thinking about you.
Well, think on this, Paul. No one can make a Victoria sponge as moist as you can.
Please, Mary, we can't do this now. What if Mel or Sue walk in?
Then let them watch.
The master baker himself. Who do you think the people will like most in the sketch show? Do you think, OK, I'm confident that one will hit? The selfie guy, I suspect, will be popular.
You never really know, because in Little Britain we tried to create lots of comedy characters and some of them caught on, but many more didn't.
Were you surprised then by the ones which did?
It's hard to think back retrospectively, but we obviously put an equal effort into the ones that didn't, and then you're often a bit mystified. But then afterwards, I kind of realised sometimes something catches on because people can repeat it in a certain context, like computer says no is a big one for me, because every time I go to a till or something and ask for a seat, go, computer says no, or I get out of a taxi, so I can have a seat, computer says no, and I have to pretend it's the first time I've ever heard it. You. But I get them in the most incredible places. I was visiting Egypt.
Wow.
And I was in one of the pyramids. Wow. And it was a small little...
I didn't know you were allowed in the pyramids.
Certain people are, yeah. Sort of people on prime time, I say. People. If you're too big, they don't let you in because they're quite small spaces. Do you understand? And there was this little tunnel, and you had to scrabble up a ladder in the dark to get to this special little room in the pyramids. And as I was scrabbling up in the dark...
It's quite a special moment for you.
Yeah. Someone went... How do you know I'm here?
If someone like me or someone else came up to you in the street and asked you to do a catchphrase, OK, if you're in the right mood...
Always.
You would always do one.
Oh, yeah.
OK, and is there one that you would do... If someone said, do a catchphrase, which one would you do?
Depends. I sort of weigh them up, which one they might like.
So I came up to you and said, Mr David Williams, all right, we'll do a catchphrase, please.
OK.
There you go. Mr David Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. That was actually quite a special moment for me. Thank you. David is going to stick around, you'll be pleased to know. And also we'll have music from Justin, and we'll be joined by Jamie Oliver and Harrison Ford, so don't go away. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get my next guest right out here. He's a chef, a restaurateur, an author and a campaigner. Not only that, he also makes great TV shows. It is, of course, Mr Jamie Oliver. Hello, Jamie. Sorry I didn't get to say hello. I was body blocked there by David, who's obviously keen to get his own show with his own name in it. Jamie, great to see you. Happy Christmas in advance.
Happy Christmas. I'm so excited.
Yeah, you look forward to it in a big way?
Oh, I get so excited. I love the whole cheese. I love all the lights. I love everything.
Yeah, and the kids must get really beside themselves all the time. How old are your kids now?
13, 12, 6 and 5.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And, yeah.
You must be exhausted.
I really am. Yeah. Honestly. No one warned me about teenagers. There they are, look.
What about food and stuff for Christmas? Because we'll get onto your campaigning in a minute, but are the kids allowed sweets?
No. No, absolutely, of course. Yeah. You know, absolutely. Under lock and key. No, we're pretty normal,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, but food's obviously a big deal at home. We've always kind of been around it. We sort of get amongst it. I cook everything at home, so, you know, it's the time of year when you've got friends and family and kids, and it's one big dinner
So
party.
you cook
really.
everything. Does your wife not want to cook at all? Is it
No, she loves me cooking, honestly. She does, and she probably cooks for me about twice a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are her signature dishes?
Jules' favourite pasta and Jules' favourite stew.
I noticed none of them are Jamie's favourites.
Yeah, no, but
Okay.
she's good at cooking for the kids, and then I like to sort of, you know, take care of her.
Yeah.
You know, she's a good girl.
So you're doing a show. There's a show on TV the night on Christmas Eve itself. Jamie's Night Before Christmas is on 7 o'clock on Christmas Eve, and these are like last-minute tips.
Yeah.
Which strike
Yeah.
me, is that not too late though? Because if you
No, that's the challenge.
Okay.
Because I've done Christmas shows for like 17 years.
Right.
Can you believe that? Jeez, since The Naked Chef. And it's always sort of a week before, so you can get amongst it. But this is Christmas Eve, so it's much more like a team talk. And the tone's different. I don't want to stress anyone out, but it's like little hacks and little shortcuts and little tips and organisation and little things.
Well, give us one now. Give us one now. What's a tip that would maybe help whatever you do in the next day easier?
Well, for starters, how to carve properly.
Yeah.
Also, sharp knives. How do you sharpen a knife if you haven't got a sharpener? You know, so it's like going, you know, into the kitchen. The base of a little mug is often unvarnished, and you can use that.
A mug base?
Yeah, like an empty.
That sounds like the opening from an episode of Casualty. That sounds like a terrible idea.
I did it safely, I can
It's like
assure
a
you.
Casualty Christmas special.
Honestly.
They'd go, the knife's not sharp. Oh, Jesus, I've got an artery. This is terrible advice, Jamie. Give us some sensible advice.
Listen, we got the perfect roast potatoes. To rest your turkey for 2 hours so you can get your
I
oven
know
free.
how to do the perfect roast potatoes.
Go on, then.
You open Nigella's book to page 73, and right there...
Don't know, dear. Yeah, thank you. I love Nigella. She's a lovely girl.
Yeah, she is. But so how do you do the perfect spud, then?
OK.
Goose fat?
No, well, for me, it's olive oil and butter. I think it's a nicer finish. A whole potato peeled, Maris Piper, parboiled, 12 minutes. Put it in the colander, let it sort of steam off, chuff it up a little bit so it goes crispy outside. Go into the butter and the olive oil, salt and pepper, a little bit of smashed garlic in the oven for about 45 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius.
Well, it's like having Rain Man in the room.
I don't want to waste...
That's great stuff.
I haven't finished. I've got to tell you the last bit. After 40 minutes, they're nearly perfectly golden. Then you have to get something flat, like a potato masher, and half squash them. That's the new 17 years to find out.
You half squash a potato?
Half squash them, more surface area, and then the fluffiness in the inside puffs out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Beyond puff.
A little bit of rosemary, back into 15 minutes, done.
Who would have thought, when you first started on TV and you were this brash young newcomer, and it was exciting because you were, well, you know, you were new, you were fresh. But now it's commonplace that men are in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And, you know, and
Well,
partly I think it's down to you.
Yeah, when I started, cooking was for girls.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, we managed to convince everyone that cooking got you girls. And that was the kind of turning point.
Ah, yeah.
And men went from literally 3 years of hatred, like hardcore hatred.
What, not liking you?
Yeah, roughed up, chased, the whole thing. Wow. And then literally they started
That's wonderful.
When they started...
I'm Jamie Oliver! Leave me alone! Where did they chase you to?
Up the street.
Oh, up the street!
Come on, alleyways.
Like who's Maris Pipers.
Chasing you?
They
For cooking on television?
But, well, what happened? Well, you got to remember, I was 23, and men and women were both going to work and doing the same hours. They get home, and men across the country would go, "What's for dinner?" You know, it was different. It was 17 years ago. I'm old now.
So
I'm
they
40.
chased you.
They were really annoyed, but when
They were threatened by him. That's what you're saying. They were
when they
threatened by
started realising a little bit of information could get them a few more bunk ups,
Yeah.
then...
I like to think there's a bit more to it than that, though, because
Not
there
much,
is a...
not much.
But there's a joy to cooking. I think most
There
men
is.
who become... They actually say, hold on, there was nothing before. There were raw materials, and now there is this hopefully splendid feast that I have created.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a life skill that can not only give you pleasure, but it can give you more years on the planet.
So let me ask you then, we know you're a family man, you love your kids, of course you do, and that's lovely. The crusade that you've been on recently, or the campaign against sugar being added to foodstuffs, I guess that was partly because of having children, because of what it does to kids.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, it started 2 years ago in America, actually, when I did Food Revolution. And then, of course, you start looking back in your own country. And the single largest source of sugar in our children and teenagers is sugary sweetened drinks. Yeah. I mean, we all love sugar. We all do. And, you know, and it's a joyful thing. But when you have a problem and when it's sort of contributing to dissolving parts of the country that are important, like the NHS, and you will not find... You'll have to try very hard to find a practitioner that doesn't think we have a problem. So, you know, look, believe you me, the last thing I want to do is go and make a documentary about the concept of a sugar tax, OK?
Yeah.
That's not good use of my time in the sense of I want to do it. But the thing is, 7 pence on a can is £1 billion a year, and I think that £1 billion a year should go to primary schools around Britain. And Mr Cameron's got 5 years. He's doing an obesity strategy in January. That obesity strategy, sugar and sugary sweetened drinks and the tax is one of, like, hundreds of things. We'll see what he does.
And you have faith in him?
I think he'll do... I think he'll do a good job, and my worry is that's not good enough. I think my job at the moment is to create the stories that create the conversation that make him do the right thing. And I want him to be a parent, not a politician. Yeah. You know what? I honestly think if we look after the kids of Britain, the future economically and for Britain, this little island, will be beautiful. And I really believe that.
Yeah, it's a lovely thing to say. Are you health conscious when it comes to food, David?
Yeah, I try to be. But it's hard, isn't it? Because the sugary stuff tastes, like, really nice.
Yeah. That's the tough thing, because we like it.
But do you know what? There's honest sugar and dishonest, and I think that's the thing. No one's debating whether a bit of cake or a chocolate, but that's quite honest. We always know that was... But it's when
so
it's
you're buying
hidden.
a cake, of course you know it's full of sugar. It's cake. So you eat that...
And if you have it 4 times a day, you know it ain't going to be good, right?
Yeah, well, look at David. But the thing is...
Thank you, Jamie.
But you're right, so it's when it's hidden and when it isn't...
Thank you.
You let go now.
Can I chase you? Can I say?
Yeah.
Later on, will I be able to have a picture with Harrison Ford?
Almost definitely not.
Have you met him before?
Of course I've met Harrison.
When?
We go way back, don't we, Harrison? Yeah, we do. Remember that time we spent a day, I was with you in LA for like a whole afternoon? You remember that? You must remember that. Wow. It's Jonathan Ross. My name's in the show, not like some people. I've got my name in the show.
No, I don't remember.
OK. Harrison, we edit this show. Will you just turn to the camera and say, yes, of course?
No.
Yes, of course.
There you go. That's what we want. OK, that's what we're going to do. We've saved it. Thank you, Harrison. OK, so you've got a new cookbook out. It's good. I've already got this one every day. They send me a copy every day. Superfood. What's the definition of superfood? This is the new kind of food everyone's talking about.
Yeah, well, look, it's been going on for years now. It's not one ingredient. It's a cluster. And I think, for me, the nice thing about a book is that I wanted to create a place that was safe and where every choice was a good choice. And I studied nutrition in the last year and a half. And for me, it became about, like, celebrating the naughty stuff, but also, like, almost putting food into, like, 2 or 3 gears, right?
Yeah.
And if you can kind of have that kind of food 4 days a week, you're going to be in an amazing place.
So the food you're talking about is stuff that's full of all the kind of right oils and essential nutrients.
All the food groups, yeah. Your carbs, your proteins, your veg, your fruit, your dairy, all the little bits and pieces. And really looking at... I mean, the reason I did the book was because a lot of people were telling me, and I listen, is that we're confused about this, we're confused about that, you know, different oils, different milks, you know, is this fat good or that fat, you know. So in the back of the book's a whole bunch of stuff from sleep to alcohol to... I don't know why I looked at you when I said that. You know, and giving you... And I spoke to sort of the best professors and scientists that I could get my hands on, and we tried to bottle simply...
So it's all the information you might need in one collection, right? A good starting point.
But with joyful, delicious... I mean, the thing is, as well, joyful, delicious food, but a lot of it.
Yeah.
So you can eat well.
Well, I can cook from your cookbooks. I can't cook from a lot of cookbooks. I still do this one signature dish from one of your earlier cookbooks I do, which is a cooked tuna with some shaved courgettes in a kind of a homemade salsa, which I toast gently in the oven, etc., etc. I add a little twist, though. I put some sugar on top. It's delicious. Just about a pound on top. Really join me in saying thank you to Mr. Jamie Oliver, ladies and gentlemen. David Williams is still here. Don't go away after the break. We'll be joined by Harrison Ford and Jess Flynn will be performing here in the studio. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the show. Let's get my next guest out here, shall we? He is starring in the long-awaited new Star Wars film, The Force Awakens. Before we bring him out, here's a little taste.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it. The dark side. The Jedi. They're real.
The Force. It's calling to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Han Solo himself, Harrison Ford. Sir, good to have you here. Okay, so I think you can tell there's a certain amount of excitement that you're here with us.
Well, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
How's it been? How the premiere's been? There was the Star Wars premiere in LA initially, and you've had the big one in London. How were the crowds? How was the event?
It was good. The fans are enthusiastic, and it was a very warm welcome we got.
There must have been, I'm sure you were aware of the level of anticipation.
I was.
Okay. Is that something you factor in when you accept a part like this, or is that something that was maybe even off-putting before you decided to become Han Solo again?
No, Jonathan, I'm in it for the money.
Well, we have to admire your honesty there. I don't think that's entirely the truth. You can perhaps see
I admire what you're doing. I'm sorry.
No,
Just
go
a
ahead.
moment.
Go ahead.
I really admire what you're doing. I'm grateful.
Thank you.
That's fine. That's good. Well, so now, Harrison's got your back as well.
I've just got the best ally on the planet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. What about David's work? Are you familiar with David?
Not so much.
That's okay.
Well, he probably hasn't seen it. We'll give you a tape. He's a brilliant comedian. You'll love him.
Say something funny. Come on. Come on. Oh, shit, never
Well,
mind.
he's got shy because... Well, you know, Harrison, you know why he's shy? Because he... OK.
That's funny.
Harrison, he had a picture of you on his wall when he was a young man.
Many pictures.
Oh, thank you.
And I brought them tonight and
Did you?
hoping that you may sign them later.
Not much chance of that.
Well, I did tell you.
And I was going to auction them for a children's charity.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a shame.
That's funny. That's funny.
You see,
Yeah.
apart from the cash, then, what made you decide to do Han Solo again? Because I've seen the film, ladies and gentlemen, OK, and seeing you back on screen in that role was just so exciting. So for fans, it's a big, big moment. But at the same time, you know, you're such a respected actor elsewhere. So for you to want to come back, there must have been a change in the character, something in the story of this new film that you wanted to be involved with.
Yeah, I think there was. I was just glad to be involved in it. I mean, obviously, Star Wars has been very, very good to me. It gave me a career that I have enjoyed, and all the opportunities have proceeded from the, attachment to the success of Star Wars. So when George called and asked if I might be interested in coming back, I said, yeah, why not? Basically, sitting around waiting for somebody to give me a job.
Well, the phone rang.
Sure, yeah.
But I imagine you don't strike me as the sort of person who would have been a fan of science fiction or science fiction cinema previous to that.
Not so much. There is science fiction that I really enjoyed, but I can't say that I was a fan of the genre.
Yeah.
But You know, I don't think of Star Wars as science fiction, really.
Well, it kind of created its own genre, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you ever think, when you were making the movie, because now, with the benefit of hindsight, you think, of course it would have been huge, but there must have been times when you were filming in Tunisia or over here, and you're talking to a dwarf riding around in a bucket, and a tall guy dressed in gold, and another bloke covered in hair. There must have been times when you thought, this is going to be terrible.
The only thing I thought is that this is better than a real job.
And indeed it turned out to be. Yeah, yeah. Let's have a look at a picture of you in the new movie. Okay, well, first of all, I want to show an old picture, because this is Harrison back in the day as Han Solo with Chewbacca. Okay, so look, that is like an archetypal image. And now we have a picture of the two of you together now in the new movie, okay? And I've got to be honest, you're doing well for your age, but man, Chewie is aging fabulously.
Just had some work done.
Because he should look more like this, I was thinking. That's kind of how... Legitimately, if he wasn't in Hollywood, that's what he'd look like. We want to play a little game with you, a little Star Wars game.
Okay. I'm not going to be good at this.
Well, don't go in like that. Go in thinking you could win. Okay. I want to see whether or not you can tell the sound of a real Wookiee from something else that sounds a bit like a Wookiee.
Okay.
Because people have been putting these online.
All right.
When they hear something that occurs, it sounds a bit Wookiee-esque, they've been filming them, uploading them, and I thought it'd be fun to see whether you could tell, without looking, what it is. So David and Jamie, feel free to join in. I'm going to give you these things. So we've got on here, is it a Wookiee or is it a fake Wookiee, which I'm calling a Fookie? OK? Yeah. So Wookiee or Fookie?
Yeah, do I get one of those?
You get one of those?
Yeah.
Pass them down to the boys there.
Please.
OK, I got one as well. I don't know what order they're playing. So let's play the first sound. Feel free to play along at home. OK, so let's see whether that was a Wookiee or a Fookie. OK.
That's right.
Well, no, that was not. That was a chair being pushed back in. But confusingly, they'd stuck a Wookiee's face on the chair. Yeah, I know. We'll get easier. OK, here's another one. That's got to be, hasn't it? OK, let's see. That was a Wookiee! You've got them both wrong so far. You've met him and you're getting them wrong.
It sounds a lot different in a really expensive show.
Yeah. Just for that, I'm going to make you hear another one now. You know that, don't you? OK, let's hear one more.
Okay. I'm sorry, excuse me.
OK? Alison, geez. What have you been eating in space? OK, I'm saying Fookie.
Fookie.
OK, let's have it. What is it? That was a tap.
It's a tam.
OK, one more. Here we go. Hey, no conferring! What are you doing? No conferring. What do you say? What are you going to go with? You go with... OK? OK, let's just see what that was, because I think that's pretty good. OK.
That's good.
I've got no idea what the scores are, but I would like to thank you all for playing along.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was... OK, David? You were pretty on it, considering the cheapness of the show.
Yeah.
Jamie has sat next to Harrison for quite a long time now.
Oh, but you like to switch over? OK. Is that okay? What? Well, I'd quite like to sit over here if I can just have a little sit down as well. What is Harrison for?
Not fair. This is awkward.
OK. Sorry. Go on, give us a bit, Dad. Harrison, you know, do you get people... Alison. You know what? Yeah. You know, in our country, you're married now. You know that, don't you? Alison, what a remarkable career you've had, because it's not just the Star Wars films, but the Indiana Jones movies as well. I mean, what an incredible adventure, you know. And I loved the last one as well. I'm hoping you will make another one, and I've read anyway, I don't know if it's true, that you would be open to that.
We're working on it.
Wow. Yeah. So working on a script, or...?
Well, we're hoping that, you know, a couple of ideas that are floating around will gel, and I know that Steven's interested, and so hopefully it will happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that would be fantastic, to get the whip back out and get... Do you have any memorabilia?
What's the bit you like?
I like the whip. Well, the whip is the best thing, wasn't it? The cool whip. Well, you must like the whip, don't you, Harrison?
Not personally. But thank you for asking.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break, but we'll be back with Mr. Harrison Ford, David Williams and Jamie Oliver. Don't go away. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still sitting with my guests, Jamie Oliver, David Williams, and, of course, my close friend Harrison Ford right here. Here's the thing, I've just remembered. I was alarmed because I'd been following the filming, the news of the filming of the new Star Wars film in the papers, and then one day we get the story that you had been involved in an accident while filming on board the Millennium Falcon. Quite a serious accident from the sound of things. What happened there?
I was just standing in the doorway talking to J.J. Abrams, our director. The camera hadn't been set up, but I was wearing my costume, ready to go to work, and because we had a big budget this time, the original film, the door, if there had been a door, it would have been closed with a pulley and a stagehand just closing it with it. But now we had lots of money and technology, and so they built a fucking great hydraulic door which closed at light speed, and somebody said, I wonder what this is. And the door came down and hit me on my left hip because I was turned to my right, and it flung my left leg up and dislocated my ankle, and then as it drove me down to the floor, my leg slapped on the ramp up to the Millennium Falcon and broke both bones in my left leg.
Whoa. So serious.
Sort of.
Pretty bad. I mean...
Duh.
Yeah, but...
Yeah.
But, you know, normally actors, you don't expect them to get injured on a set like that, in that way.
No. You expect them to
and I can
do
imagine...
that shit at home.
Yeah.
In their own time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're falling around. But the guys involved, whoever pressed that button, they must say, OK, I may well have just killed Han Solo. OK? That's not a thing you want to carry around with you. Who did it?
I don't know. I don't know. And I don't want to know.
He's probably in a witness protection program right now.
No, I mean, I know he feels as badly about it as you do.
Yeah.
At least. Wasn't you, was it?
No.
So, what were you calm? Did you manage to stay calm while this was going on? And when you phoned your wife, what was her reaction?
I actually didn't phone my wife right then. I did ask if, while we were waiting for the ambulance, which they said was going to take me by road to London, which I just spent an hour and a half in the car coming, and I thought, why don't I just see? And I said, could I have my cell phone? It's right over there. And they brought me my cell phone, and I had been thinking about, I fly helicopters, and so I had been thinking about bringing my helicopter over here. And I'd been talking to a guy who I met by chance because I was walking through the park in front of the American Embassy, and there was a helicopter sitting in the middle of the park. I said, wow, what's this? And I went over to look at it, and the guys who were the pilots were nearby. And one of them recognized me and came over and said, "I'm Rob Purnell. I'm the guy you've been talking to on the phone about bringing your helicopter over." He said, "Well, I'm flying a temporary job here. I'm part of London Emergency Medical and National Health thing." His number was in my cell phone. So I said, "Hey, Rob." He said, "Hi." He said, "What you doing?" I said, "Well, funny you should ask." You think maybe, and sure enough.
So they came and got you. I'm surprised they didn't just get you one. I mean, you know...
budget.
They had the money for the foot-crushing door, but not the money to get the guy to hospital.
My point, exactly.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the crash involved as well, because this, once again, was an extraordinary news story, and everyone's, you know...
Okay, that left leg is in the door, and the right leg was in the airplane crash.
So you're a pilot, you fly for pleasure, I guess, as well as sometimes to help people like that. What happened? You had an engine failure, I believe.
I was taking off from Santa Monica Airport. I was 800 feet in the air, and the engine quit.
Wow.
And a built-up congested area, and so I turned back to the airport. And I knew when I turned back that I wasn't going to make it, but there was a nearby golf course, so I went to the golf course. And
it was potentially could have been a very, very serious situation, not just for you, but for the people in that area.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't want to land on anybody. And I didn't want to hurt anybody on the ground. I didn't want to actually really want to hurt myself either.
Yeah.
So I thought the golf course.
Well, we have a picture of the landing. It wasn't the most elegant-looking landing, I guess, but under the circumstances, I imagine that's about as good as you could hope for, wouldn't it be? That's a small plane as well.
It's a World War II trainer, for a Navy trainer from the United States. Yep.
So that's an old prop plane. That's an old kind of propeller plane.
Same age I am.
Oh,
yeah, old.
Yeah. But still functioning. Not anymore, but, you know, it was still functioning before you flew it and crashed it.
Oh, it crashed.
Yeah.
I was in it. I was absolved of any responsibility for the failure of the engine to run. Okay. And I count myself as a lucky guy, except I broke my other goddamn leg.
I had a similar thing happen to me. I was knocked off my scooter recently in town. And my wife afterwards said, "I don't want you riding that scooter anymore."
Yeah.
Now, did you have that conversation at home? Not about me, about you in the plane and...
I'm tracking.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. My wife, who's a wonderful lady, understands my passion and for aviation, understands what it means to me, and flies with me to this day.
Wow. So she knows you know what you're doing, and she knows what it means to you to keep on doing it.
Not necessarily in that order.
Yeah. Do you have, I know it seems like this perhaps is sort of a silly question, but do you have a favourite among your films? Not necessarily the way that we feel about it, but the work that you did on screen. Which one do you look back on with the most pride, if there is one?
God, I just don't think of it that way. I've got 5 kids. I don't have a favorite kid. I've got 9, well, now 8 airplanes, and I don't have a favorite one of those.
That's not quite the same as the children, really, is. I mean, they kind of... It sort of devalued the thing you said about your kids now a little bit. Your youngest, is he 14, Liam, or is he 15?
Just turned 15.
Just turned 15?
Yeah.
Is he excited about Star Wars, or is it weird for him because you're part of it?
Both. He'd seen the first one that we did, and then when when I made the film and it was about to be seen, he and his friends sat down and watched a bunch of them, and then he was able to go to the premiere the other night in Los Angeles with a couple of his friends, 3 or 4 of his friends, and other of my children, and I think he really had a good time. And I think that was the first time it was sort of fun for him. Yeah.
That's a lovely thing, isn't it?
It was cool. Yeah. I was really happy.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how disappointed were you not to get to work with Jar Jar Binks? Okay. No Jar Jar. Harrison, it's been lovely having you here. Thank you so much for joining us. And the film is out everywhere, of course, Star Wars The Force Awakens. Harrison Ford, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Harrison. Thanks to all my guests tonight, Harrison Ford, David Walliams and Jamie Oliver. Join me on Boxing Day for a very festive show with Downton Abbey's Lily James, brilliant American comedian Aziz Ansari, from the Antiques Roadshow, Fiona Booth, and also from the Antiques Roadshow, Sir Ian McKellen. We'll have a special Christmas performance from Coldplay, but now, performing here in the studio, it's Jess Glynn.
Wrapped up, so consumed by all this hurt. If you ask me, don't know where to start. Anger, love, confusion, roads that go nowhere. I know there's somewhere better, 'cause you always take me there. Came to you with a broken faith, gave me more than a hand to hold. Caught before I hit the ground. Tell me I'm safe, you got me now. Would you take the wheel if I lose control? And if I'm lying here, will you take me home? Could you take care of a broken soul? Or will you hold me now? Or will you take me home? Standing in a crowded room and I can't see your face. Put your arms around me, tell me everything's okay. In my mind I'm running around a cold and empty space. Just put your arms around me, tell me everything's okay. Darling, hold my hand. Oh, won't you hold my hand? 'Cause I don't wanna walk on my own anymore. Won't you understand? 'Cause I don't wanna walk alone. I'm ready for this. There's no denying. I'm ready for this. You'll stop me falling. I'm ready for this. I need you holding. I'm ready for this. So darling, won't you hold my hand? I learned to wave goodbye. I had to see my life through someone else.